Today is a story of deceit. So the news came out last month, mid-February, and I'm just finding out about it, kind of this week. There was a major copyright scandal in the romance genre writing area, and I'm not sure how far out it got from there that people found out about it. So let's read into this. Twitter is simultaneously a wonderland and a hellscape. As a zapper of productivity and a creator of rage, it's also where the news of hashtag CopyPasteCris broke and has developed a home. What am I talking about? Let me fill you in. The news first broke on February 18th. A Brazilian self-published writer named Cristiane Siriu was accused of plagiarizing dozens of legitimate authors. Courtney Milan, New York Times and USA Today bestseller, author of several historical romance novels, was the first on the scene for a lack of better term. Milan posted on her blog calling the piece Cristiane Siriu is a copyright infringer, a plagiarist, and an idiot. In this blog post, Milan discusses numerous passages from her book that Siriu either directly stole or slightly changed and then published on her own as her own. So once this news breaks, Twitter basically explodes. Romance writers from all walks of life begin to gather evidence of Siriu's plagiarism. Tessa Dare goes on an in-depth hunt through Siriu's works and tweets her findings. At this point, Siriu responds and claims that she would never do such a thing, and then blames the ghostwriters that she hired on Fiverr. Bad move. Plagiarism is still plagiarism no matter how you sugarcoat it. For those who don't know, Fiverr is one step above Craigslist in relation to sketchy deals, so this already leaves a bad taste in my mouth. They were the ones who really wrote her books. She just put her name on them and then self-published through Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. I don't know why you would ever admit this. I don't really see how it's much better to say, no, I didn't plagiarize anything. These people I hired to write my book actually plagiarized something, and then I just put my name on it. Isn't that kind of an extension of plagiarism? Because, I get there's a difference between ghostwriting and actual plagiarism. But if you're being accused of plagiarism, and you go, well, I hired other people to write so I could slap my name on it, you're still being lazy. You're doing exactly the same thing that they did by plagiarizing, is they didn't want to write it, so they just copy-pasted something out of somewhere else and then slapped their name on it and handed it back to you. Do you not see the irony in this a little bit? Just a little bit. No, newsflash, honey. You still put your name on the book, still published and sold it enough for USA Today to take notice, which means you claimed and profited from somebody else's copyrighted material. The list of authors that Siriu stole from is exhaustive and nauseating. Thanks to Caffeinated Faye's blog post, I can provide a list of people who had their work stolen. And actually, Caffeinated Faye has been updating this throughout the month. So that blog post, this post was done around March 1st. So now we're halfway through March, and if we go to Twitter, here's a tweet from 23 hours ago that says an update of 85 books, 36 authors, 3 articles, 3 websites, and 2 recipes plagiarized by this person. That's a lot of stuff to be stolen. I want to know how many books this woman has published, so how much of that is spread out. And how many times did she use Fiverr to write books just to slap her name on it? Note, the list of legendary, well-known, and lesser-known is based on my personal experience as an occasional romance reader. It's not meant to insult anyone. I have the utmost respect for all authors. Blah, blah, blah. Then she lists the authors right here. The list doesn't stop at books either. Siriu stole from recipes, articles, and websites. Essentially, she has not published a single original word, and this makes me sick. So beyond the insulting and illegal act committed, why does this story matter, and why are we still talking about it 2 weeks later, or in this case, a month later? Siriu has become invisible online. She's deleted her Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram accounts, and even though her accounts are still available on Wattpad and Amazon, those will likely be taken down soon as well. To me, this is as much an admission of guilt as anything else. I find it very hard to believe that you could pay someone else to write your book and then not even have enough sense to check it before publication. That's called due diligence. And if you couldn't even be bothered to do that, then you have no right to call yourself an author. Let's return to the topic of Amazon/Kindle Unlimited. Amazon has become a massive player in the book writing industry due to the self-publishing platform. It allows aspiring writers to take charge of their creative pursuits and make a name for themselves, assuming they do so honestly. I could do a whole piece on the gross negligence, but I'll just move on. Syria's blame of ghostwriters put the entire freelance writing community under fire. While we have no way of knowing who her ghostwriter actually was, since according to Syria their Fiverr account no longer exists, it doesn't really matter. There are numerous scammers out there who are taking advantage of Amazon's algorithms and stealing the hard work of other authors just so they can make a quick buck. It's a slippery slope, one that has yet to be commented on or rectified by Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. I highly doubt he's going to comment on the condition of online publishing on his platform, because I don't really think he cares. He's still making the money. Why would he care? Authors are the ones who are going to hurt from this, not Jeff Bezos, because whether somebody is purchasing a book from a plagiarizer or from the person who originally published the book, Jeff Bezos still makes the money. However, authors are losing out because it questions the whole self-publishing community. It puts the integrity of self-publishing and independent publishing into question, and it makes the market that much smaller. Like, it floods the market with extra books that are Frankenstein pieces of somebody else's stuff. So it floods the market with that, and then it makes you lose trust because you don't even know, one, if you're getting quality, and two, if it's original. That said, in a piece for Plagiarism Today, Jonathan Bailey broke down the case for his readers. He explained that ghostwriters have always existed, citing celebrity autobiographies as an example. Along with that, he brought up the important fact ghostwriting does exist in fiction, which it was something that I didn't know. I've always known that because I'm not going to throw any names under names, but some of the big people that do genre fiction that have very formulaic stuff typically have ghostwriters because they've written enough and it's formulaic enough that they really don't have to write it themselves. And if they want to get 20 books published in a month or in a year, they aren't writing them themselves. Authors like V.C. Andrews have continued to publish books through a ghost well into the 21st century. Both the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew books were series written by a variety of ghostwriters, all employed by the Streyemeyer Syndicate. This is also perfectly legal. So why are Syria's books under fire? Because she never gave credit where it was due and pretended that she'd come up with everything on her own. The fact that she used ghostwriters isn't even the most ridiculous part. It's that she believed she would never be caught. Bailey sums it up with this. Simply put, Syria valued the idea of being a romance author more than the process of writing romance books. This is appalling. I have dreamt of being a writer since I was 12 years old. I continually struggled toward the goal, and I'm currently working on my first novel. So Syria's audacity is what really gets me. Before I sign off, though, I want to address the fact that Syria not only stole from lesser-known authors, she stole from Nora freaking Roberts. For those of you who may not be aware, Nora has published over 200 books in her career and is still writing regularly. On her blog, she responded to the controversy in several posts, all tagged under CopyPasteCris, where she explained that this isn't the first time she's been stolen from, but it will be the last. She has made it her mission to take down every single thief out there, and she will not stop until something changes. I, for one, can't blame her, and I'll be on the lookout to see how things progress in the ongoing maelstrom. So, in conclusion, write your own books. So, what is the difference between plagiarism and taking an idea, copying somebody's idea, right? If you read Harry Potter and you went, oh, I like the idea of a wizard school and some kids and just the general idea of Harry Potter, you can write your own story that starts the same. Heck, you can even have it be another kid that lives in the basement or lives under the stairs and rides a train to the school and all of that. You'll get the parallels drawn. I don't think that it's really something you want to do, which is very closely copying the idea of somebody else. You will always be compared, especially to the bigger book, and you'll look less original. But you can take inspiration from something or write a similar idea and make it your own. So even if you decided to write a story about a teen wizard who had abusive step-parents and lived under the staircase and then went to a magic school after he found out he was a wizard, You could do that all in your completely own way. However, typically, plagiarism more looks like this. Copywriters do this a lot because they have so many articles to write, and usually they're not paid very well, especially if it's a small business, and they need to have so much content prepared and repetitive content that they will use an article spinner. And what an article spinner does is you put the text in one side and then it changes some of the words and puts it out on the other side, so that if somebody is looking for plagiarism, they're not necessarily going to find it because the words have changed enough that it's not the same. So if we look over here, we've got October arrived, spreading a damp chill over the grounds and into the castle. On the right, we've got October arrived, spreading a clammy chill over the grounds and into the palace. Now getting to the bottom, the stream pouring from under her vivid hair gave the impression that her whole head was on fire. The steam pouring from under her clear hair gave the feeling that her entire head was ablaze. So it's just small enough changes that you really don't know. And if you're not familiar with these authors, then you're never really going to know that they plagiarize. So what did some of these thefts look like from their point of view? Well, if we scroll down here, I want a short one. Well, this is a short line. From the Duchess War, which is the original work, it says, her nostrils flared. He almost thought that she might stamp her feet and paw the ground like an angry bull. And the plagiarization was, her nostrils flared. He almost thought she might stamp her foot and paw the ground like the bull that had attacked Chaban. When we scroll down, here's the original. There was a reason they'd kept their conversation to inane niceties up until this point. There was no way to talk about anything else without bitterness. They had no commonplace past to draw on, almost no shared acquaintances. His mother had spent more time visiting Sebastian's mother, her husband's sister, than she had lived in Robert's house as a child. And she'd chosen to do it. He might have forgiven her at one time. At one time, he would have forgiven her anything. And then down here, from the plagiarization, we have, there was a reason they'd kept their conversations to inane niceties up until this point. There was no way to talk about anything else without bitterness. They had no common past to draw on, almost no shared acquaintances. His mother had spent more time visiting her lovers and friends than she had stayed with him when as a child, he'd come to spend holidays in Liechtenstein. And she'd chosen to do it. He might have forgiven her at one time. At one time, he would have forgiven her for anything. So as you can see, these are pretty much the same with very mild changes. That there's no way that it's just, oh, it's a similar situation, but it's actually, this was completely drawn out. This is not even vaguely rewritten. Most of this is just really lazy. This is really bad. So I'll link all of these in the description below in case you wanted to take a deeper look. But we need to have a talk because this isn't a one-time thing. Plagiarism is actually a problem. This is only 4 months ago, friend. A prize-nominated poet debuted canceled as plagiarism accusations build. So we've got it in the romance industry. Now we've got it in the poetry industry. A prize-nominated poet's debut collection has been canceled and her work removed from online publications after multiple writers accused her of plagiarizing their work. On Saturday, Ailey O'Toole, an American poet, was nominated for a Pushart Prize for the poem Gun Metal. Was publicly accused by Rachel McKibbins of taking lines from her poem Three Strikes and using them in Gun Metal. McKibbins' poem, which draws on her childhood drama, reads, Hell-spangled girl spitting teeth into the sink, I trace the broken landscape my body and find God within myself. O'Toole's Gun Metal reads, Ramshackled girl spitting teeth in the sink, I trace the foreign typography of my body, find God in my skin. So as you can see, there's kind of a direct parallel with how the subject goes, the way the lines read. It's a rewriting of the same poem. And this article goes on to a couple other poets that accused her of stealing from them. This woman even got that line tattooed on her to say, this is my line, this is my line. The plagiarizer tattooed some of plagiarized words on her body to go, look, they're mine. But they're not. For 43 years, the Pushcart Prize has been plagiarism-free and a wonderful recognition for all the poets and small presses that publish them. Fortunately, it looks like poetry readers were quick to go and support McKibbin's, who was stolen from after this came out. But this is a problem. And I've been in places where they tell you, oh, you shouldn't care if somebody plagiarizes your work. Your work should just be better. So if you put your stuff out there, then it's just better. Problem with that is, I hate that mentality. There are a couple problems with it. So one of the problems is, if somebody plagiarizes you and you publish your stuff later, because say you submit it to a critique partner, and so the critique partner kind of runs off with your stuff, which in a writing group I'm in, somebody mentioned that happening to them. So imagine you submit stuff to a critique partner, and your critique partner takes your stuff, changes it, and then changes it slightly, and then publishes it. Well, if you publish it, now you look like you're copying them. They've also just stolen your work. This is a complete breach of trust in the writing community to say that I can't trust my critique partners with the words that they said they would double check for me to help my message. Then you've got the second issue here, which is it is a breach of trust between the reader and the writer, because every reader goes into the marketplace looking for writers that'll tell them stories, that'll be honest with them, that are sharing their perspective, their ideas, their stories, and instead you get this. Especially in the self-published. I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen in the traditional publishing. I'm sure that it does to some extent, but it's so much easier when you can just take somebody else's stuff and then put it out there like it's a blog post all on your own. It's so much easier. And it's incentivized because you get paid regardless of whether it's your work, and the publishers don't check that stuff. When you're self-publishing, Amazon doesn't check where your content comes from if there's a copyright problem, and they don't talk to you about the words that you put up. You can write literally anything. You just throw it on Amazon. It waters down the market by oversaturating it. It waters down the market by oversaturating it with too many books. And it makes the readers not trust the market, because are they getting something that's been edited? Are they getting something that was made with care? Are they getting something that's original? Or was it stolen? And when you have all of these things that keep coming out about plagiarism in art, it makes me not want to purchase stuff. And I'm another writer. I like to support writers even if I don't like the book. I purchase the book to read the book, and then I kind of just give the book to a freebie bin if I don't like it. But I always like to support the authors. However, it makes me really skeptical of purchasing books, especially from open markets. Like, I never buy anything from Kindle Unlimited, and I almost never buy anything that is self-published. I think Sour Candy was self-published because I didn't see a press name on it anywhere. And that was actually a good buy, but I've had a bunch of situations that weren't. And I'm very choosy about purchasing anything that's self-published. You ruin the reputation of the entire industry when you do this. And there's only one cause. And so in my writing group, we were talking about this, and somebody said there has to be something we can do to stop this from happening, or to help make it happen less, to counter this. And I said, greed is kind of a big thing to counter, because what this actually comes down to is greed. It's somebody, like the article said, who wanted the glory of being a romance author without putting any work in. Because it is hours and hours and hours, sometimes weeks, days, months, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, months, years to get something together, or to learn the craft and then be able to put something together that people actually want to purchase. But instead, she just wanted to take the shortcut to have somebody else write the book, put her name on it, put it out there, flood the market with as many as she could so she'd have a shot of getting a bunch of money back, because, well, here are 20 books in the market that are mine. I just need somebody to buy one of each every day, and I get something. It's greed that powers that, and it's greed that powers this, that causes you to look at a poem and steal somebody's lines. This can happen to anybody, especially if they do it in a small press or a student paper. You expose your words, and somebody who wants to shoot themselves to the top, who goes, oh, this is brilliant. Instead of sharing the brilliance that they see, they're going to take it for themselves and then share it as their own. It's all about greed. It's all about making money. And it's the same thing that happened when, what's-her-face, Valina Hopkins tried to copyright the word cocky in a romance title name. Apparently romance attracts a lot of parasites. Sorry, guys. That happened last year. The romance author tried to copyright the word cocky in a romance title's name, and then was going around Amazon having every book pulled down that had cocky in the title. So that removed parts of her competition. And she also started threatening people to sue them. It's greed. It's all greed. The only thing we can do is point it out when it happens, let people know that it happens, and remain supportive to the writing community at large. There's no way that you can stop evil from happening. There's no way that you can legislate out evil or legislate out greed or ban greed or any of that. All you can do is point it out and be better. And don't encourage it. To say, oh, it's okay if somebody steals your work, because at least that means that there's something good about it. Well, sure. But that's also my years of learning the craft to create. It's my hours and days and weeks and months of writing and editing and getting readers, like beta readers, and editing again and working it all out. That's my time, my years put into that are being taken by somebody else for a quick buck. And we should not be condoning it by saying, well, at least it was good enough to steal. I know that visual artists face the same thing when their designs that they post on their websites or on their Instagrams to show off get stolen by bigger companies who then turn them into things and don't tell them that they're stolen. And then suddenly they find out that somebody has turned their images into keychains. We shouldn't be encouraging it. We shouldn't be condoning it to say, well, at least somebody liked it enough to turn it into something else. And I hope I don't have to keep seeing it. But if this is any indication, it's not going anywhere. You'll always have people willing to pay somebody else to do their writing. And you'll always have somebody willing to write it. Or put it in a spinner. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll see you next time.